Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm David.
And this is the Practical Guitarist Podcast.
The podcast for people who eat, sleep, and breathe guitar. The Practical Guitarist Podcast is brought to you by Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Great Lakes Guitar Pickups provides fantasy tones at prices a practical guitarist will love. Featuring top-notch construction, attention to detail, and a fully custom product, if you can dream it, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups can probably build it. Follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Are you a regular listener? Why not? David here reminding you of all the ways you can participate in the Practical Guitarist Podcast. Subscribe using your chosen podcast app. Review us on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or Google Play. Find our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/practicalguitarist or on Twitter as @practguitarist. Support the show. Merchandise is available in our Threadless store at practicalguitaristpodcast.threadless.com. And donate to us via Patreon, available at patreon.com/practicalguitarist. Reach out to us directly via email at questions@practicalguitarist.com. Hello, Jim.
Hi, David.
You had to break that, man. You had to laugh. Like, I do it every time. At this point, you should know that you're going to get a middle finger when this episode starts. It's just going to happen.
I'm that person you can say, Jim, I have, and show it to me. I have a giant rubber spider in my hand. This is made of rubber. You can see, and then poke it, and show me how it's not alive and everything.
And you still laugh.
Then throw it at me, and I'll scream like a little girl every time.
All right, so we got a cat-centered guest coming up on. It may have already passed when this episode airs. Actually,
yeah, I was going to say it'll probably.
Jim and I today are recording a pair of episodes for the holiday season.
Yep.
These episodes are holiday themed in a way. And mostly because the holidays get hectic and we want to make sure we have consistent content for you.
So. And the fact that we're actually in a time machine. We're in the future.
We're looking back on how shitty the holiday was for us and making some decisions now that could affect the outcome.
Well, I can already say that even beforehand of reading the future, nobody is buying me any gear.
I think that might change.
I am getting a my kids have bought me a Game of Thrones mug, which looks really cool, really badass, and replica eggs from the dragons.
That's cool.
Put up on the hearth, so that's pretty cool.
When are they gonna? I got people giving me Facebook Live stuff. I thought it was actual message. Sorry. Sorry, everybody.
Make sure mine is muted.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm like, I'm going to kill this now.
Yep, mine's muted.
And now Siri is asking me. And apparently Siri said, I thought I said, how do I kill this now?
I will tell you, Siri.
Let's see. Power off. How about that?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit, since the holiday season is upon us, and regardless of your religious beliefs, many people trade gifts this time of year. And what we kind of wanted to do was go over some of the ideas that people have, whether they are related to a particular religion, such as Christmas or Hanukkah, or if they're just gifts that don't actually have one. Well, I was thinking, like, if somebody gets you those silly, remember the Christmas, the Santa Claus who's got a guitar and he sings Christmas music. Don't get me one.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm sure that my family, I'll be sitting with them when I listen to this, and they'll go, "Oh, we didn't get you one," and I'll say, "I know," and I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
And then I still
nobody wants the tie with the guitars on it either. I mean, that's kind of the same thing. Like,
yeah, that I have that. Somebody's bought me musical notes. The staff. The guitars on the tie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be the first one to admit there are silly things that I do like.
Me too.
The cutting board, for example, that's shaped like a guitar. One of these days, I'd like to get one of those.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy it for myself. I want that to be a gift because I have a cutting board, but it would be cool to have one shaped like a Stratocaster. And every time I go, I am just relicking it.
That's funny. Jim, I would pay to watch that.
I thought about, so
you should have said that on YouTube, or you should have said that. That should have been saved for YouTube content.
Yeah, music and arts. I might actually do that with a Squire Bullet or something.
Oh, make that into a cutting board. That would be
exactly
hysterical.
A real Squire Bullet.
Every time the knife digs in, you pull out some urethane lacquer. Yeah.
I'm just relicking it.
Why does this steak have blue paint in it?
Why does your guitar smell like prime rib and turkey? I don't know. Every time I pull it out of the case, my Gibson smell like candy, and for some reason the Squire smells like steak
and eggs.
And eggs. Oh, that's gross. But anyway, I think that, I mean, if you're going to relic a guitar, why not have some fun with it? I mean,
sure.
I'd take the paint and stuff, folks. For those wondering if I'd eat paint, no, I'm not 3.
No, he tries to avoid lead at all costs.
Yeah, especially at my age. I would definitely remove the finish quite deeply before I started. Well, I have a friend at Guitar Center. What he did was, so he's a guy that works there. He's one of the managers, and he bought a Bullet. That's why I'm thinking about doing this. He bought a Squire Bullet, and what he did was he stripped it, and beat it with a baseball bat, did a whole bunch of cool things. Then he stuck it in a fireplace for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen some cool stuff you could do with fire in old bodies.
Yep.
The one I saw, the guy took a heat gun. So he wrapped the guitar neck in wire, and then he took a heat gun to it to heat up the wire. And then it would put these interesting, it actually made the neck look almost like it was flamed.
Yeah, it puts like
it was a very cheesy looking flame, but it was.
Hey, if I get a maple neck and I stick it in a fireplace, is that baked maple?
Yeah, I don't think so, but
well, it's lightly grilled.
Well, that's
what kind of neck is that?
This came up. Jeff Biasiadecki, who's a listener of the show, he works at Good Time Music, and this came up because he was like, man, I forget what guitar it was. Oh, I think it was the Ibanez Genesis. He's like, man, if those had a baked maple neck, like I'd be all over that. And I was just laughing because I'm like, baked maple. I'm like, why don't you just like take a heat gun to it?
I mean, I know they do something a lot more. So I'm sure
they have an oven.
At least they say it's scientific.
Yeah, it's probably just like
I'll stick it in the oven, 400 degrees.
I mean, yeah. Well, I think they're shooting it at several thousand degrees, but
okay, I'll put it on broil.
So what they're doing, my guess is what they're actually doing is like they take a rough neck, they throw it in an oven, and then they probably sand it down to remove any of the burn marks on the outside.
I want the burn marks there. I want this guitar to say this was cheaply relicked. Yeah. I want it to say that. I want
that's actually really interesting that you're like I want the shittiest relic job I can possibly do.
Well, I saw it. So a guy who did a really interesting job. If you guys get a chance, check out Phil McKnight's channel. He relicked one. He calls it the beer bottle opener guitar, and he shows how he put this guitar. He took this like not a
Did he use the trim to open beer bottles?
Well, no, it's even funnier.
Okay.
So he got this kit guitar, right? And I'm sure, like I said, you could do this with a Squire, but you'd have to take paint off Squire. This thing came unfinished. So anyway, long story short, he did the stuff I'm talking to. He scratched it. He took a dog chain to it.
Right. There's all kinds of shit you can do.
Yeah, and he burned it. Like you were talking about, he took a heat gun to it a bit, in all kinds of places. He really made it look really cool. And instead of finishing it with like a color, he just finished it in a clear lacquer so that you could see all the stuff, right? And then to top it off, to make it the right thing, he put a beer bottle opener on the butt of the guitar.
That's a great idea.
And then he goes, now I'm going to show you how this beer bottle opener works. And he has a thing where he goes, then he has an outtakes. And you have to, guys.
Oh my gosh.
If you even have a minute to watch the outtakes video, it's really short. You see him try to open the bottles and it does not work. And he gets beer all over himself and all over the guitar.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
It was actually a lesson in what not to do, even though it goes, And here it is, because he got the one take where it goes and it opened. Most of the takes, it opened and beer went all over the place, or the top broke off, and
that is absolutely hilarious.
It is hilarious.
So we're talking about relicking as we're talking about this. I saw a guy, because everybody says you can't relic a urethane guitar and make it look good. I saw a guy on YouTube doing it with a razor blade. I mean, it was time intense. And
I'm sure.
I'll be honest, his relic job, I couldn't have told it was nitro from looking at it.
Wow.
Or it wasn't nitro, because he had done some real work, like making sure the checking looked good, making sure that the wear pattern was good. He actually started with a picture of a real guitar, and then kind of like worked it so it looked similar, and was real careful with it. And then like he would take deep gouges out when he'd remove finish, so it would look like people may hit it whatever with rings and that kind of thing. It was exceptional. But what I was gonna say, Jim, relic guitars are super cool, but don't take your significant other's guitar and get it relicked for them for Christmas. That's not a good idea.
No, and that's the thing. If you want to get a relic guitar, relic a guitar, and for those spouses who want to beat the shit out of a guitar, then give it to their other spouse. Then buy a Fender Squire Bullet or something like that, something inexpensive.
Yeah, because
a used Epiphone.
Yeah, I don't have as big a problem with now. I don't have as big a problem with getting a used guitar and like beating it up, or even getting a new guitar beating it up, provided that's how you deliver it to them and that's kind of what they're into.
Right.
But don't take their guitar off the wall and be like, this sounds like a good idea. I'll go pay for his relicking fees. When the guy's like, what?
You did what to my 1975 Mint?
Yeah, I could see some stuff, some shit like that happening, and some people being really angry.
Yeah, that would not be good. But all that said, I think some of the I think what people forget often is that what is the purpose of relics? As far as the useful purpose.
Well, the way I look at it, the useful purpose, of course, it makes it feel broken in.
Right.
And people tend to forget that like that's why relicking really started, was because Keith Richards wanted another guitar that was worn in the same way as his original like 50 whatever Telecaster, and they made him one, and it was like, oh, now everybody wants one, because it's like there's no other guitar on earth that's worn that way, and so that's why that started, and then it became like a more popular thing to do. I honestly think that as a visual thing, like I get it. I just don't think that it's authentic. And I think there are still people that are buying custom shop Fenders kind of under the likelihood that on stage nobody will know the difference kind of deal. And though that's true, I mean, I don't know. For me, like that would just feel wrong. Like I have principles, and I live by my principles too much. That's what I'm slowly learning.
I think for me, if I was going to buy a guitar that I was going to relic, again, I would get something inexpensive just to learn on it. But then I can beat the living shit out of it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is like I hate the idea of paying somebody to do it for me, because number one, like it's really expensive to have done. Some of the places around here are like $700-800. And it's one of those,
because it's time intensive if you do it right.
Yeah. Well, no, I get it. I mean, but the thing is, you can do a lot of the same things at home if you read up and be creative. Like if you have a nitro guitar and you want to relic it, just get some canned air, flip the can upside down and spray it down. It'll check all over the place. You can't do that with urethane though. I mean, you got to use a razor blade to fake it.
Right.
So, and really, if you're gonna relic a urethane guitar, I mean, I have a friend who has one that he reliced himself, and it looks very natural. It looks like it went through a war, but it doesn't look like, it looks like a urethane relic, like a guitar from the 80s that has just been played to hell. It doesn't look like, a 60s relic where there's like all kinds of playware and stuff on it, and it's done very tastefully, and it looks cool. I'll be honest with you, like that's what you would expect an 80s Stratocaster to look like if it's been played every night. So.
I think that doing stuff like that, again, it comes down to what is it you want to do with the guitar. If you're going to relic it, like I would relic one and then maybe give it away on the channel or something like that. But I would relic it
Do we
At the
mention?
very least, we have not mentioned.
Okay, all right. You know what I'm talking about then.
Yeah.
The return.
Yeah. Well, you can discuss that in your own
Yeah.
on your own here in a second. But what I would do is I would get an inexpensive one. I would relic it, and then I would customize it within an inch of its life, and then give it away. Because I mean, that's really, I mean, if you're going to give it away, relic it right. Take the paint off, make it look cool. I think a Strat would suck because a Strat's got so much pick guard. What's the point of that, really?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're going to try to make it look like SRVs.
Right. A Telly would at least have a little more show.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the relic look of the Strats because they always get that arm contour wear. And that's the big thing that I like. Because I was playing mine yesterday and my arm kept getting stuck on the finish. I'm like, now I see why people want to do that. Because I don't normally, so for a long time, I never wore, t-shirts that didn't have longer sleeves on them. And I was wearing one yesterday that it was about half the length what I normally wear. And I was getting my arm stuck on it. I'm like, now I see why people remove that because it's snag free then.
Well, see, that would be where a pickup mule would be cool in that I could beat the crowd out of it, use it for a pickup mule, and then give it away at the end.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that's coming. A reminder to folks who are listening. We are doing the pickup demo and giveaway for 12 months of pickups from Nick. I spoke with him the other day, so I think we're good to go on that.
We're online
we need to figure out the rules of the giveaway, but I think the main thing is you're both going to have to like our Facebook page, not just the group, the page, and Nick Bonner's page as well.
Yeah. At the very least. There's not a whole lot to that, folks. We don't spam things, so it's not like the
main thing is we want to build some brand interest for Nick. So the thing is we're going to have I've been toying with the idea of doing some sort of a competition where okay, so you like the 2 pages and then you have to find the secret message in the episode. Right. And then once you have the secret message, then you can send an email to us and I'll enter you in the drawing.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool because then it would show that at least you took a few minutes to listen.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're giving away 12 sets of pickups, and I'm really excited to be doing that. And we had Jim was just
12
talking
sets of rules.
Yeah, just to drop out of our topic for today for just a second. We had a return happen this week. So if anybody remembers back last month, I think it was around the 15th, I returned that Ibanez S series I ordered that was shipped in a gig bag and shitty carpet. Wrapped in shitty carpet. And so here's where it gets real fun. I am, of course, returning this instrument. And I sent it out, and eBay told me that the case was basically resolved. I didn't get my refund right away. And I looked the other day, and I saw, and this is about 10 days ago, 50 days ago, I looked, and I saw it was sitting at the post office in the city where it was going, which is in Texas. And it had not been picked up, and there was going to be a return to sender within 7 days. So I called eBay because I wanted my money back, number one. And I said, what the hell, guys? Right. You told me I was going to get my refund as soon as it was in the mail, with 4 days processing or whatever. So they closed the case while I was on the phone with them. And they're like, well, we're going to go ahead and process a refund for you. And I got my money back. And then yesterday or the day before, a big box showed up at my house. And of course it was a guitar. And now I'm like, what the hell? So I called eBay, and eBay says, reach out to him, which he has not responded to a single message I've sent him, which I've sent him several since back in October. I believe it's the 11th, which means that if he doesn't respond, I guess I get to keep it. That's basically what eBay told me. So they told me to hang on to it for 7 days, let him, give him a chance to answer the message, and then we can go from there. But I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. Dan Kish and I were talking about it. It may end up being a show giveaway guitar. That's a possibility. It may end up being something that I slowly work on and try to do something with it, and I have no idea what. Kish is kind of an amateur guitar. He works on guitars and stuff, amateur, and we might try to do something with it, show theme, whatever.
And so that's another idea that may, depending on what happens with eBay, that may come to.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just waiting to hear what's going to happen now at this point. But yeah, the psychotic guitar just does not end, and it just keeps ending up in my life, whether I want it to or not. So that's why part of me is like, maybe I shouldn't give it away. Maybe this is my curse to bear.
It's literally a bad penny.
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't know. It's a whole thing. And I also talked about parting it out and putting the money into the show's resources so that we have some finances to back the show up. Because I wouldn't have bought that thing had it not been for the show. So I don't feel right like just taking the money for myself.
So obviously when this posts, we'd like to see some folks talk about the gifts that they would like to get.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Here's the things. We all know about the shit that nobody wants, right?
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
And the hats and the stupid shit like that. I mean, some of us like I like
t-shirts. I don't mind the hat. If you're gonna give me a Marshall hat, I'm not gonna complain.
Right, or a Fender hat, but don't get me a hat with a bunch of guitars on it. It looks kind of silly. But like if my family was to give me like 1 year they got me a guitar shirt. It's a button-up shirt. Many people have seen it. It looks like a Hawaiian shirt, but it's got like instead of Hawaiian things, it's got a bunch of guitars. Most of them are Gibson style guitars. I don't think it's actually.
Yeah, it's not branded because Gibson would sue you.
But I do have one, which I'm sure somebody got in trouble for, which has like a bunch of Fender and Gibson guitars on it.
Yeah,
and it's a T-shirt, and it says something like "Live to Play" or something.
Yeah.
And those words that say like "world's okayest guitar player," I think that's kind of funny. It's kind of cool. I've got one somebody gave me that says, "Everybody asks me to read it when they see it because it's got all this lettering on it." I think they just want to look at my fat, sexy body. Anyway.
Yeah, Jim.
That's me being Mr.
Taking care of me. Let me tell you.
Anyway, there's plenty of space for words. It says on it, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy guitars, and that's the next best thing, or something.
My whole thing. So like for clothes, if somebody's going to get me T-shirts, like I'm going to be honest with you, I don't wear T-shirts. I can't anymore because I work in an office. Like I don't buy clothes I can't wear to work because at this point it's just wasted money. I'd rather spend on guitars.
Right,
it's pretty embarrassing, right?
Exactly. I'm sitting here. According to Music Go Round, I can buy up to 20. It says up to 20%. It doesn't give me any rules on it.
Yeah.
Off on used gear. And I'm thinking, go buy one of these $70, $80
bullets,
Squire Affinities.
Okay, yeah. Affinities have gotten better over the years too. I mean, I had one years ago that came through my hands. I was working on it for something else. Man, it was a piece of dog shit. The adjustment screws for the bridge and stuff just stripped out when I was using them. And I mean, it was dog shit. I've never seen anything that poor quality. But I know they've gotten better because I've seen some since then where I'm like, yeah, all right. And, I could see somebody be using it as a first guitar. And beware, though, because those things, the truss rods strip out really easy on them, the adjustment nut. So make sure you're using the right adjustment key before you go to town. So, yeah, I think we should devote at least a little time at the end of the episode to talk about things we like. That we think are cool and that, would suit a lot of different guitar players. I know somebody I know is talking about they're going to get a Katana head for Christmas, which I think is really cool.
That's awesome.
I have one. I mean, that's a cool idea. Like amplifiers are one thing. The problem with musicians is there's a lot of personal preference in everything we do. And sometimes I'll admit, sometimes personal preference gets in the way of finding the right stuff because I've had shit gifted to me. I'm like, I would have never bought this myself. But then I played around with it and I was like, you know what? This is actually really cool. And it's making me do something I wouldn't normally do myself. And it's ended up, coming back to actually help me. So I think there are certain items that work out in that regard. The things that always annoy the piss out of me are like the little micro amps. Like the little Marshall Micro stack everybody gets as a gift at one point. Yeah. Who the fuck wants that thing? Oh, I mean,
I got one. That's a regifting that's a regifting.
Yeah, it's like, I know what I said to Dave next year.
That's like getting one of those little mini boxes of wine. Have you seen them now?
Yeah.
The box of wine is like a glass of wine. Well, I guess it's a couple glasses. It depends on how big a glass you use. For me, it's it's a glass and a half or something. But anyway, it's just like, why would I want that?
My thing is, and I didn't even think about this last year, but find a band that they like and get them sheet music, like with tablature in it,
right,
for that band.
Right.
That's one of the coolest things you can do, because let's face it, a lot of people, we just get our sheet music off the internet. But honestly, if you go to like Hal Leonard or somebody like that, it's usually way, way higher quality than the tab is, if you reference a guy on YouTube or whatever.
So again, I use Sheet Music Plus, and Sheet Music Plus, they have a huge, and I say huge, I mean over 1 million songs. So if you have a budding guitar player in the house or whatever, I don't know about you guys, but that would be a great gift, and it helps with that. Or get any number of, let's see, for some of the writers that write good books, obviously, and we talked about this before, Andy Alador, Tom Kolb, that's Kolb.
Greg Koch,
obviously, the Gregory Cockery.
Yeah.
Chris Brooks. These folks that make awesome books that that can do a little self-help.
Right.
Get your budding guitar player. Get lessons, even for the advanced guys.
That's a great idea too.
Yeah, those of us who have been playing a while, there's still things you can learn. And I mean, if anybody says they've got nothing left to learn on guitar,
it's not a tuner. This is a metronome.
No. And, I had one of those.
A lot of players don't have a metronome. And you can get them you can gift them an app on their phone, or you can get them an actual physical metronome, which I prefer. Or you can get them a tuner. I mean, hell, the Boss TU3 is what, $99?
Yeah.
And it is, bar none, the best tuner I've ever used in my life.
Yep. The Boss TU3, what else is there?
The Polytune.
The Polytune.
The Korg Pitch Black. I mean, pedal tuners are what I would prefer, so that's why I'm bringing them up. But I mean, even just the standard run-of-the-mill, like little plastic tuner you stick in your gig bag, or a clip-on tuner.
Yeah. Ask them if they need a plug-in.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like you can get cables, you can get quarter-inch cables. If you get quality quarter-inch cables for anybody, nobody's gonna bitch.
Right.
Okay, because that's good stuff. Or even just like a 9-volt power supply. If they got a lot of pedals and they're buying batteries all the time, this is like specifically for significant others. If you're always getting told, I need batteries, I need 9-volt batteries, get them a Pedal Power 2 Plus.
Yes.
From Voodoo Lab or one of the other comparable independent power supplies.
That's one of the best investments that you can make.
Yeah, dude. I've had 3 of these now. I bought 2, I sold them, and I bought another one.
Yeah, a Furman Power Strip. What I was talking about what I was talking about with a plug-in is like a DAW plug-in. Like get them, their favorite set of pedals. Fender makes a whole pedal plug-in series.
Yeah, VST plugins and or a multi-effects processor. I know people are like, oh well, that's a real preference-based thing. The Boss GT1 is like $130 or something. It's not even expensive.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you can get one of those 20% off deals on it. Yep. It's tiny as hell. It'll fit in a gig bag. And for anybody who's like, oh, well, I got to go to rehearsal and carry my amp, it's a big pain in the ass. Well, if they rehearse in a place that has a PA, GT1 all day long, plug that thing in, don't care anymore. Because you just save them like a lot of extra effort to have to bring gear for a rehearsal, which they don't necessarily need.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of those things, and that maybe you have to kind of preface it that way. It's like, yeah, I know it's not as good as what your normal rig is. Like, I know you have a Helix, but the whole thing is like the GT1R is supposed to be, it's more portable for you. And I thought it would be cool, out of convenience to use that. Now I'm sure you'll get your dickhead like people out there. They're like, oh, I got the Helix, I'm not using that. Just like the people that are selling their Helix to get the Helix Stomp. Look, I'm not passing judgment, but I just showed Jim that, basically the interface for the Helix. HX Edit software on the computer a few minutes ago, and there's a big fucking difference between the main Helix and the HX Stomp, because you only get one processor, and they limit that processor. It's not clocked the same way that the big one is. So you
Of
only
course
get
not.
8 blocks instead of, however many blocks until it runs out of processing power.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that's fine. 8 blocks you're gonna get a lot of use out of that. I just think it's a lot. It's a lot of money for 8 blocks.
I think if if you have the expendable money, obviously, and if you have a Helix user,
if you're
can't you buy added IRs for that?
well, yeah, you can. That's a great idea, and I was going to bring that up. So the HX Stomp, I think where it really fits for players is like the guy that's got a full pedal board, and he needs something that can do amp modeling.
Yeah,
and it does do the IRs. You can get IRs from all kinds of places now. Own Hammer, 3 Sigma. I have IRs for both of those people, both of those groups, people, whatever you want to call them. And then I also have IRs from Celestion. The Celestion IRs are amazing. They're not expensive. I mean, you can get the whole kit. I think $60 or something. Or you could buy individual ones if there are specific cabinets they like. The other thing is, I know Mesa just came out with their line of IRs, which are made in collaboration with another company. I forget who. If you got somebody who's got a Kemper, and you could buy them profiles for the Kemper. In fact, the Dr. Z profiles are out, and they're great. And they basically profile every amplifier they bring out now because they know so many people are using the Kemper. If you really want to spend a lot of money, I mean, obviously you could get somebody something really, really nice. You could buy him a Kemper or something like that. But I don't think you have to do that to make a musician happy. And I think I get mad when I see people buying cars for people and shit on Christmas because, like, look, we don't. If you got enough money that you're going to do that, fine. I understand. But for the most of us, like, that sends the wrong message to our kids when you have to explain to little Johnny that his uncle bought his wife a car for Christmas. It's like, well, why did I only get this shitty video game console? It's like, well, because some people have money and some people don't, and some people understand the meaning of Christmas and some people don't. Because what I was trying to explain to my daughter this morning, I was like, Christmas is about family, and for us, because we're Christian, like it's about Christ and all that. For anybody who's of any other religion, like you have your own reasons, and I'm sure you would explain it to your children the same way. It will come complicit with what you believe, but the whole point is that, like, I think that we get a little bit crazy and spend a lot of money on a lot of things. You don't have to do that. That's why I'm trying to look for things that are like in the lower end of the spectrum, like the Boss GT1. Yeah. There's a lot of cool pedals. I mean, if you know what they're into, you can go to your local store and you can usually ask and get some pretty good advice about what pedals are cool for. The IRs, I think, are a huge thing, though. I'm glad you brought that up because that was something I probably would have forgotten or glossed over. And for a lot of guys that do a lot of home recording, I mean, if they don't already have a bunch of IRs saved up, and I know people that like I see in the Helix group every once in a while, somebody will post, here's my file share site with all my IRs my free IRs that I've collected from various places, because everybody does like sample IRs. And some of these guys got like 500 or 600 sample IRs. You're sitting there going, holy crap. I think the purchased ones I found are typically better, but you get kind of a handful of them and you just use those over and over. So if they've already got IRs, it's probably not such a great idea. But
yeah, but if you're getting them, it comes down to really just asking and saying, hey, you know what? I've been thinking about spending, and give them a budget, because in reality, the old, take the price tag off and they'll never know how much it costs is stupid. So honestly,
it's like, I know that the things that I gave my wife that are on my list are too expensive for us to be buying. I'm like, I don't really want anything else. It's just going to be wasting money unless she buys me like, strings and things like that, which are on my list, by the way. That's always any of the wear parts you get on guitar, strap locks, strings, straps. I mean, the common stuff that every guitar player needs: capos, slides, picks, if you know what brand and style of pick they like. Those are things that are staple items. And frankly, I just kind of expect that my wife's going to buy a bunch of that stuff every year because it's easy, and it's there, and I'm going to use it, and I'm going to love the fact that I've got it, So I mean, they're common, easy things that you can get. And if you got a guy that's really into tech, I mean, you might really think about, or a guy or gal actually, it's really into tech. You might think about, like iPad software for guitar. I know there's that Musician and different things like that. And of course, any of the modelers are, like that we were talking about the Boss GT1. That would be perfect for somebody who's into technology. So all that stuff's light years ahead. And I forget where it was at. Some of the members of our group were involved in this discussion. I think it was over at Pedal Boards at Doom. And there's a guy like, fucking modelers suck. I would rather have a Tech 21 product over a modeler. And I'm like, okay. So like, I get it. Tech 21 makes good stuff. I've owned some of their stuff. I really think the fly rigs are cool. I like the modeler series of pedals they did where each, pedal is like a different amp. But I'll tell you right now, modeling is not what it was 10 years ago digitally. Like the Helix is on par with anything that Tech 21 is putting out in terms of amp modeling. Of course, are completely different products. One is completely in the analog domain, the other one's digital domain. But I would say you're going to have the same result either way. And I saw that guy saying that. I was like, you don't even know what the hell you're saying anymore. Like, you really don't. Just not comparing the same thing anymore. So anyway, yeah, obviously, we want to try and find things that are going to fit, the musicians in their life. Sometimes it's better to go more broad and to find things that maybe aren't as on the surface musical. You can always buy iTunes gift cards or whatever music service they like to download their music. Get them a couple of months of iTunes Music or Apple Music or whatever you call it. It's Apple, or God forbid, Spotify or something like that. Those are all things I think musicians enjoy. I've yet to find a musician that doesn't listen to me. So
Exactly. I think that as far as the music thing goes, find something that is that is from their favorite band. I mean, a lot of our most listen to episodes are about the shredding and learning side of things. So I think that at least for our listeners, I don't think the money would be wasted if people showed them this part of it and just that, hey, you know what, or at least made the hint that, hey, you know what, I'd really like to get some learning stuff this year.
sure.
You could also get a Patreon for this year, and
Oh, nice job, Jim. Nice job.
I slipped that in.
Yeah, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
No one would notice. Oh my, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's Patreon the show for a couple bucks.
We love our Patreon subscribers. We do.
We do, and that's why I joke. Obviously, if you Patreon or don't Patreon, I've seen shows. This kind of ticks me off. I've seen shows now where they're like, "Oh yeah, we have awesome Patreon subscribers, so we're going to do a Patreon only giveaway. We're going to have a giveaway where if you're a Patreon person, you get 50 more entries than a person that's not, or whatever." I'm like,
I mean,
I get it, but
I can kind of get it, but like we don't have enough people to even worry about it. So, but I don't know. That's something we would have to take into consideration to have a big discussion about before we did anything that way. Anyway, I would really rather give away to the whole populace, and maybe give them an edge.
But I would never. Yeah, I would never give up. I mean, maybe let the Patreons help.
We got other things we give our Patreon. We give them exclusive access to watch the show being recorded live. We give them exclusive content. I've done a couple rants, I think now.
You have? See, I was going to do one today, and I was like,
I've been posting some stuff in the Patreon, subscriber thing.
Yeah, you'll have to show me how to do that so that I.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could just send it to me and I can post it for you. I don't care.
Yeah, either way,
it's easy enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we're flexible too. If you're a Patreon subscriber to our show, just hit us up if there's something you think would be cool if we did, and we'll consider it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These will be, as far as shows go, These will be a couple of the last shows we do that are 2-episode-a-week shows because we're going to video content.
We're on episode 94, I think.
Yeah.
So one thing we left out, Jim, we're talking about Patreon, get people to subscribe to the show. Nick Bongers. So like, let's say my wife says, man, I really want to get my husband some pickups for Christmas, right? And pickups are like one of the most divisive things you can possibly buy for guitar.
Definitely.
You can go to the store and you can be like, oh, well, I want a metal pickup. Well, you can get active pickups. You can get, passives that are extremely out of the, ballpark of gain. There's all these different things you can do to make that happen. And so if you go to Guitar Center, like, you don't know what the hell you're going to end up with. And you don't know if you don't play guitar yourself, whether you're a significant other or, your friend or whoever you're buying them for, is really going to get the use out of them that you think they are. So what I would say is hit up Nick Bongers and talk to him and see if he could build something that is in the realm of like, okay, so these are the bands that he listens to, because he can do that. And he can kind of like poke around and say like, well, this sounds like this to me. And like, I think I can do that with this, and especially if you know what kind of guitar they have. And even if it's just limited to like, oh, well, they have an Epiphone. He can make a, kind of estimated guess about what kind of pickup is going to work well for that. And that's a cool thought. Like I honestly, if my wife bought me pickups for Christmas, I'd be like, what the hell? Like, where did she come up with this? And then to install them and find out they're actually good, I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah, that would be a great.
Yeah, because I think pickups are such a personal thing anyway.
Yeah.
That would be like unbelievable to get. Not only to have somebody have the forethought to buy me pickups, but to buy really good pickups.
So what kind of things are you hoping to get this year? Let's close the show with, what are you hoping to get?
I'm hoping to get a brown eye. No, I'm kidding. That was a little divisive. I'm sorry. It was a little double entendre there. I was going to say the pink taco, but that also would be a little divisive.
Think?
Maybe you could blame Dave Friedman over there for creating that horse shit.
Yep.
So I don't know. Like I have my list for Sweetwater. I could probably pull it up real quick. I sent my wife a list. It basically had some Ibanez guitars with Floyd's. I'm looking for like either a Gem Junior. I like those because they're mahogany bodied. Even the cheap, like expensive Gem, like the cheap Japanese Gem, is like $1,500 and it's basswood. So I would rather have a mahogany guitar basswood, in my opinion. It's not a tonal thing. I just don't like the way the basswood wears. Like, it tends to be pretty soft. Every time you touch something with it, it like gets a ding. So that's kind of. And then I also had some pedals on there, reverb with a pre-delay control. The Boss. What is the Angry Drivers on there? Those are way down at the bottom of the list. Put a cabinet on there, Mesa Lone Star cab, and an attenuator. But I mean, honestly, like, I'm not expecting much. It's just that's pretty much the stuff that I'm looking at right now. Would be interesting to me. I honestly, Year of No Gear has taught me that I can get by with a hell of a lot less than I thought I could. So, but what do you got? What do you got on your list, Jim?
Well, I pretty much got. I've got learning books on there. I'd like to get Chris Brooks. The speed thing. I have a couple of Andy Aladort's books on there. I've been looking at like I'd like to get a digital subscription to Guitar World so that I could stop getting the paper one. But then every time I think about that, because I've thought about that for a few years now, and then every time I think about it, I go, I really like getting the magazine in the mail, one of those things. So typically I ask my mother for that. She gets it for me every year. So that costs her a whole $12 or whatever.
By the way, all those Ibanez's I listed were like $400. I mean, the Gem Juniors are a little more expensive, but
yep,
not expensive. I mean, I'm talking Indonesian because, like, I know that. Listen, I don't have a Floyd guitar right now. I'd like to have a Floyd guitar so I can get into some of the whammy antics and stuff, but it's just not something that came up. So, and then
Right.
Jim's still looking at square bullets here.
Well, I'm just sending you links because right now they're 20% off and it's today only, and they're $60. And I'm like, I wonder which one I should go after. I'll just grab one of these two. They've got two.
Shit, it's $65. Buy them both. Resell
That's
one.
There's a guy right now. I reached out to him on the marketplace.
Yeah.
He's got two Squire package things. They sell them for $30 a piece.
Yeah, I mean, cheap guitars, as long as it's a reputable manufacturer, you can't go wrong with cheap guitars for somebody too. Because honestly, if you get somebody a Square Bullet, like they're gonna find some use for it, even if it's just an alternate tuning guitar or something like that. Like
what I'm doing right now.
I am a project.
Yeah.
That was the thing years ago is people would buy guitar effects pedal kits.
It's almost like suddenly project guitars have to be expensive. They don't have to be expensive. They can be inexpensive.
No, I think the vast majority of project guitars are still ghetto as hell. They're like real cheap. They start cheap and then they get expensive when people start putting bare knuckle pickups and shit in them, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Where you get a pedal or whatever, or no, a guitar, and then you soup it up, and then a couple of years later, you go, I don't want this anymore. You're not going to get any more money for it if it wasn't souped up. So make sure you save all the original crap. So at least you can part it out.
Yeah. Put it in a bag and just label the bag so you have it for later.
So yeah, I guess for this year, I'd love somebody to get me a year of lessons, just so I can sit down with somebody and have them look at some of the bad habits that I've come up with over the years. And I don't know where that Chicago accent came there for bad habits, but
you've been hanging out with me too much.
Yes, I guess so, because I've never bad habits. Yeah,
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. I'm going to go see the Bulls and the Bears. There's no R's in Chicago.
I'm giving Jim the look because I know I don't have that fucking accent either.
I know he doesn't. He has to. Yeah, that Bears.
No,
they don't have R's in their words. The Bears.
And I don't even like the Bears. I don't like football. I'm not. You guys can roast me in the comments if you want, but
you don't like football. Oh my!
Not a real. I'm a hockey fan, and I like Ultimate Fighting MMA stuff. Like basically, I like to watch people get the shit kicked out of them. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like that?
Oh yeah.
It's better when it's a sport. I mean, obviously, I don't want to watch somebody actually get the shit beat out of them, unknowingly. A little bit different if you get in the ring and you realize that's going to happen to you.
Exactly. So those guitars would be $50 a piece. That's not a bad deal.
Yeah, dude. I'd jump on that. I would go over there right after we get done podcasting today and pick one of them up.
Well, the black one's already beat up, so it's on its way. So that would be a pretty cool project thing. The other one, I'm sure the wood is kind of, but I think it would be funny. It would be fun.
We did this whole episode, and I want to say something at the end before we wrap this up.
Sure,
we're about ready to wrap up.
Yep.
I know we talk about like, oh well, musicians won't like this, like kind of thing. Look. Let's face it. Anytime anybody gets a gift, they should be liking it. And the reality is that I can sit here and wax about like what's a good gift and versus what's a bad gift. But the truth is, if you bought me anything that we've talked about on the show, I'd be like, fuck yeah. Like because I don't expect to get anything. That's what it boils down to. So just remember, like, that's really the ultimate goal here is to make somebody happy by just letting them know that you took time out, peace of mind to think about it.
Right. For your musician friends, you took the time, I go out, so my bandmates, I'll go out and I'll buy them stuff. I know what strings they use. I know what stuff, so I'll go out and I'll get some stuff for them. I know that those are the things that make them happy. Whether it's a case of the beer that they like or a box of strings that they use. I have a string club subscription. That's one of the things I do. But I'd like to fold on this. So my son bought me, actually, I think my wife bought it and my son found out about it. Either he bought it and
Yeah, it's
anyway,
just one of those
So he bought this thing, right? He goes, Dad, I returned this gift I bought for you that's guitar related. And I had to laugh, and I go, what was it? And he goes, it was that thing where they it's like a hole punch, and it punches out the credit cards.
Oh my God, the credit card pick punch.
It makes picks out of it. He goes, you'd probably get 1 or 2 uses out of that. I said, if I got 1, that would be pretty good. I said, because
that might be a good way to get rid of my credit cards that have been causing me all these troubles.
Yeah. And then you would definitely you'd be years with no gears.
Of course, the thing with me is like, I'm holding up 2 $6 picks, one in each hand, and I'm like,
the gravities.
God. Yeah. Oh no, these are V pick. But
a big pick.
I just told Jim recently. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm actually sanding down the edges and stuff when they get blunt, so I can make them pointed again. I'm good enough at sharpening knives that I figure, I could probably sharpen a pick, right?
Right.
So and I've been pretty good at it. So I'm actually like, I think I've ordered a total of like 18 or 24 V picks, and I probably have 22 of them, which is pretty impressive given that I've been using them for about 5 years now. So yeah, I mean, you can make things work. Like, I don't really want to spend a lot of money on picks.
Of course.
I just shave them down now and keep going. So yeah, but the reason I said this, that credit cards would not be thick enough for me as a guitar pick. That would never work. I did look at buying acrylic and the stuff you need to cut it to make, the same shape that I get out of V picks, and I could do that. If V pick ever folded, like, that's probably what I would do. Because nobody makes this kind of pick with this shape and this material, and like I've looked. I really wish Dunlop would make a pointed triangle prime tone. If they did that, then I would be all over it, but they don't. So anyway, yeah. So, Merry Christmas, everybody, and whatever else you celebrate, be it Hanukkah or, whatever other holiday you have, and you choose to worship or not. So,
yes.
Trying to be inclusive.
This will probably be one of those ones that post during the holiday week. So, or just before it. So,
right.
Happy whatever it is, and but whatever it is, I hope that you enjoy time off. I hope you enjoy time with your family. Yep. Because regardless of what you believe in, time
to spend with your family, which is really cool in this day and age. So.
And these days, that is worth gold. Yep.
All right, folks. I have been David.
I've been Jim.
And we have been the Practical Guitarists.